Something huge is brewing for Game 2 of the NBA Finals, as the Oklahoma City Thunder have indicated they are ready to respond to the pressure. We're going to go over how they just talked the talk today at post-practice media and how they've walked the walk all season coming off of a loss. Before we get into it, I just want to say, what's going on, guys? Gabriel Ebersole here with Thunder Digest, ready to break down what was said in the Thunder's post-practice media today, what they've done bouncing back from losses all season long. But before we get too deep into it, I want to point out real quick that 68% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. Thunder set a franchise record 68 wins this season. Make sure you sub up so you can stay up to date with news, scores, post game reactions, anything like that of the sort. We're bringing it to you and trying to hit 5K. So let's get into it. What are we rebounding from? We're rebounding from a very disastrous and heartbreaking Game 1 loss against the Indiana Pacers, a game that the Pacers led for zero point 0.3 seconds of the game, and yet they won 111 to 110. The Thunder forced 20 first half turnovers, were up 57 to 45 at the half, yet they could not close it out down the stretch. But this team did not make excuses. This team did not dwell on this loss. We're going to get into what they are going to do to come over this in game two and exactly why I think that it is spells disaster for Indiana in game two. Let's see game two specifically, though. One game left at home court to try to go 1-1. We lost home court already. That's done with. We have to accept that and move on, and we have to just keep this series and knot it up at two. But when we look at how the Thunder have responded after a loss this year, this is the team that should be known as the bounce back boys, man. This team has lost 23 games this season, and the games after they've lost 21 and 2 record for Oklahoma City. But that's not all. This team has been dominant in those performances. The margin of victory in their bounce back wins, 17 and a half points in the regular season, yet they managed to outdo themselves in the playoffs. They're 4-0 in games off of a loss in the postseason, and their average margin of victory, 20 and a half points. That is a blowout win on average when this team is coming off of a loss. This team has not lost back to back in the playoffs, and I don't think it's going to start now. I think this team is very hungry, very ready to come back out there and get game two against Indiana, to knot this up, to give themselves right back into this picture to get the first championship in franchise history. Now, we're going to talk about post practice media now, talk about what some of the guys were saying and why I think that they have their heads in the right place to make this rebound, right? First, we're going to take a look at guy Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams didn't have the greatest game in game one. He shot 6 for 19, had 17 points, only managed to chip in one steal. He's a second team All NBA defender and an All NBA third teamer. This is a guy who is a star. Yet in post practice media, he was asked about how large his role is on such an important team and if him being a third year player plays into that and the experience of that at all. Let's see what Dub had to say. And he said, I don't ever think that I'm in my third year because that allows me to make excuses. Pressure is a privilege, so I enjoy being counted on. In regards to being there for two and the rest of the guys, every single thing you want to hear from Jalen Williams in one answer, not allowing himself to make excuses, not allowing himself to dwell on this loss, even though he did not play up to his standard that he set for himself. Speaking of standard he set for himself, he once again addresses that pressure is a privilege, something that I wholeheartedly agree with. This team, if it didn't have expectations, the Washington Wizards, nobody's putting pressure on them, right? Because they know that that team doesn't have a gold standard to achieve, and this team, we have a standard that we set for ourselves. J Dub has a standard he set for himself as an All NBA caliber player, All Defensive caliber player, as the number two guy on a championship bound, championship hopeful team. That's what you want to hear. And then he finishes us off, the icing on the cake, in regards to being there for two, meaning Shea and the rest of the guys. Team player through and through. That is J-Dub, the guy who is one of our heartbeats of our team. We're looking for him to rebound in game two. And that right there gave me a lot of confidence that he is going to take that step into the right direction. Now we're going to take a look at a guy who did play pretty good in game one. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 38 points in this game. He did miss the turnaround shot at the end of the game that would have put the OKC up 3 points instead of one. That allowed Tyrese Haliburton to hit the game shot. So he didn't play a perfect game. And yet he knows this. He talked about how he leads the team in their bounce back attitude. And he said, I let the game go as soon as I've learned the lessons from it. As soon as I watch film, take what I need to take from it, and we do as a group. After that, I let it go. The team has the same demeanor. And that's exactly the short term memory you want from your star. from your MVP, the league MVP. That is this Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the heartbeat of this team, the team's offensive engine. And he made no excuses for this game. And like he just said, he took the lessons from it. He also said, furthermore, in the interview that the lessons are easier to learn from losses than wins. So you can best believe that Shea has learned something from this game, and he's ready to take it into game two. Yet he's not bringing any of the emotions of game one into game two. So that this is a very, very great point that he's making here. And like he said, he leads the group in doing this. The group does the same thing, has the same demeanor, the same goals and ambitions that Shea is sharing in. And I believe that Shea is the heartbeat of his team, the leader, just because from a talent standpoint, but also in a vocal setting like this, in a setting the tone by example like this. This guy took this loss, he learned lessons from it, and he's going to move on right to game two and go out there and dominate like he normally does. I can't wait to see the performance he puts on in game two. He was very aggressive in game one, shot the ball 30 times. We're going to see if he carries that same aggressiveness into game two, if he looks to get more guys involved, what he's going to do. Because coming off of losses in this season, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the regular season scoring champ, who averaged 32.7 points a game, ups his production after a loss, up to 33.5 points per game. So this is a guy who is able to take his talent to even another level after a loss like this. So we're going to see, and I'm very hopeful and confident that he's going to go out there, do his thing, and really set a tone for this team in game two. Now, we're going to take a look at what Coach had to say about game one. I was very critical of Daigneault for playing Cason Wallace for 33 minutes when he had the worst plus minus on the team, when he started in both halves, played him more in the second half, played him all of crunch time. So I was critical on Daigneault. However, this is our team's leader. He is the guy who's the driving force and the heartbeat of getting the guys rallied. This is a young team that we have, so they look towards a coach more than even the average team. This is a championship level team, and that does not happen with a guy like Daigneault not carrying his load. I do love Coach Daigneault, and I do love what he had to say. Let's take a look. Daigneault said, "We have confidence because the situations we've been in this year, but those experiences don't guarantee you anything, and they certainly don't carry over into the next experience. When the ball goes up in the air tomorrow, the better team is going to win. And we want to do everything we can to be that team." And this is just such a simplistic sounding mindset, but that's exactly what you want. Because a team that's won 68 games could come in with such an airheaded attitude and blowing smoke up their own butts, or like thinking that they're everything, they're the one and the two. But this is not what this team does. They come in every day with a fresh outlook and they're ready to ball every single day, check it up, and we're going to win. That's how this team's mentality's been, one game at a time all year, and that's how they took so many games throughout this year. Daigneault right here embodies that. He basically states this, and like he said, the better team wins each night, not the team that's been better throughout the season. So Oklahoma City's goal each night is to be the best team that night. And that's exactly the mentality you want to have coming off of a game where you weren't the better team that night. You just need to look past it on to the next one, and you're only focusing on the next one. We're not focusing on game three, not focusing on game four. We're not focused on any of those games out in Indiana. We're focusing on getting game two and knotting this series at one apiece. Loved what Coach had to say. I'd love to see that, and I believe this rebound mentality, this next game up mentality, is going to carry over to the team. But you have to make no mistake. This team knows the importance of each play and the big picture, though. They know the importance of each game in the big picture. This was embodied by Chet Holmgren, another guy who didn't have a great game, shot 2 for 9 with only 6 points. But Chet talked about the weight of these plays that he was making and how he could have been a difference maker. He took accountability, says that he should have finished at the rim more, and then keeps going by saying, obviously, it hurts in a 1 point loss. One single difference on one single play could have decided the whole game. Puts a magnifying glass on every single instance in the game. Everyone was feeling that on where they can be better. And let's just start with him saying, obviously, one single difference on one single play could have decided the whole game. Tyrese misses that shot. We walk away escaping with that win. So, like he said, obviously, it's one difference, that one thing that can make a difference. It did make the difference in this game. But it's what he finishes with that sticks with me most. Everyone was feeling that on where they can be better. We heard Shea talking about it in the media. We heard Dub talking about it. Caruso was talking about it. They all hold accountability, and they all are thinking about how they can better help the team so they can keep themselves out of this situation next time. Chet didn't play the best game. He's talking about how his lack of finishing at the rim maybe was something that cost them. And he takes accountability so well for for a third year player, just like we saw J Dub do. And like I said, third year players, Chet, third year player, Dub. These are young guys that lead this team. When we look at Thunder, I just want to remind you guys, this is a team, the second youngest team in the league, average age of 24.7 years. When you look at the teams that they're surrounded by, the Trailblazers, the Jazz, the Nets, the Wizards, the Grizzlies, and the Pistons, we're seeing teams that are young and rebuilding. We are not young. We are not rebuilding. We are looking for a championship right now. Yet we still carry the same poise and demeanor of such an older team while being so young. And that's been such a difference maker in the playoffs, and also part of why we see resiliency like this. 21 and 2 in bounce back games, huge blowout victories and excuse me, coming off of losses. This is a bounce back team. This is a team that is able to snap back into it and get their heads in the game. And that is what I believe is going to happen in game two. I'm so excited for game two tomorrow night. This has been Gabriel Ebersole with Thunder Digest. Drop a score prediction in the comments right now. I want to know what you guys are thinking for this game. Is it going to be a blowout? Because historically they have been. But we saw last game, we pulled ahead early and they crawled back into it. So I want to know how you guys think this will finish out. This has been Gabriel Ebersole, Thunder Digest. I'll catch you guys in the next one.